17 comes to you from Finley Stadium, just past the halfway mark of MLS Next Pro's 2026 campaign, where two teams are coming off of heaters. Chattanooga FC have won their last three matches between regulation and PKs, while Chicago Fire 2 come off of back-to-back regulation wins. It's Chattanooga FC and Chicago Fire 2 on the Saturday slate of MLS Next Pro. Hello, welcome, I'm Ryan Lee. Thank you for joining us. Second time of three that these two will play. The last time it was an opportunity for Chicago Fire to take care of business on their home venue, but we changed scenes here to Finley Stadium. Chattanooga have been able to make Finley an absolute fortress, and they'll look to defend their dirt as we take a look at their starting 11. Three changes for Richard Dixon in the 4-2-3-1. The back five remains completely unchanged. Eldin Jakupovic, he has started in 15 of Chattanooga's 16 matches. Houston Kuski slots in for his 10th appearance of the season, while Stevie Louis-Jean comes in his 5th. Mangarov and Barker John, they go back into a midfield 5 set rather than the 4-3-3 presented against NYC. As Keegan Anselin is a lone forward in this formation, he is looking for his first goal since late March against Columbus Crew. As we flip ends to Chicago Fire 2, Mike Makovich makes one change in his starting 11. Their back five is also unchanged, with Chase Nagel having appearances across all 15 matches. Napo is a lone change from the New England match. He scored his first goal 2 weeks ago against Inter Miami 2, making him the rising star of Week 15. And Dean Bolt's once again the lone forward. He got his goal versus New England, which secured a new career high with 4 in a single season.
And number 26.
We make our way to Finley Stadium in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It is a braising 87-degree day, but there will be a slight wind. However, it probably won't have too much of an effect considering the form that these two teams have been on. For Chattanooga, 3 straight wins, 1 in regulation, 2 in PKs. Their last 2 games were PK wins between their win against NYCFC and Atlanta United 2, but their offense is what's really found form with 4+ goals scored in 2 of their last 3 matches. As for Chicago Fire 2, bit of an up and down season, but things have really steadied as of late. Wins in 3 of their last 4, including in back-to-back games. And not only doing so, but trying to continue the run in the second leg of a 3-game road trip for Fire 2. We make our way to center at Finley Stadium. Chattanooga will be in the blue and white. They'll start off right to left. Chicago Fire all red, left to right they'll go. As we await for the open whistle, and we get started here at Finley Stadium. Match week 17 of MLS Next Pro gets underway in a 5-game Saturday slate. And in the midst of that, 2 games in the Eastern Conference, including Chattanooga and Chicago. Ryan Lee and our entire MLS Next Pro crew, we thank you for joining us here at Finley Stadium, where both teams have eyes on the long haul and what they can do from here, especially with how tight things are in the Eastern Conference standings. Up top comes Trick Fleming, continues the cycle for Chicago, Nagel in the back. Nagel and Cups have been the center back tandem for the last several matches. Each of them, some of the regular starters. Nagel started 14 matches. Nagel and Cups have started a dozen of Chicago's 15 total. Nagel on the outside. That took a ricochet off Mangarov. It will stay with Chicago. Some bouncing around just outside the penalty area. Villanueva with a crack from distance. It'll sit on the roof. pressure so far has come from Chicago, especially when you take a look at how their last couple of matches panned out. A 2-1 win against New England, a 3-1 win against Inter Miami. Both of those games, they got off to early goals, early 2-0 leads, in fact, not just getting the first goal, but the first pair. And then, respectively, hanging on before either the Revs or the Herons could have potentially caught up. They put themselves in a really good position, are Chicago, as they are 1 point away from the playoff line, where Atlanta United 2 currently occupy that final slot in the 8th place. If NYCFC can manage to get the full 3, if Chicago can manage the full 3, they'll be tied with NYCFC in 7th. Just an absolute logjam in the Eastern Conference as Chattanooga tries to do the same in the middle of the park. It'll roll its way back to Eldin Jakupovic. 6 consecutive wins for Jakupovic in between the pipes, between regulation and PKs. Their lone loss within that recent stretch was a 5-2 loss on May 31st against Orlando, but Griffin Huff was the starter in his next pro debut in that match. As you have Alex McGrath unable to keep it in play. Chattanooga pushing ahead, bouncing around, no one can control. It'll stay with CFC. Getting ready for a deep toss. High arc. Bounces out. Goal kick for Jason Nemo. Nemo with 7 matches between the pipes for Chicago Fire 2, only 16 years of age. Already a strong start, 5-2-0 to begin his young next pro career. Especially when you consider some of the goalkeeping options that Chicago have had in the past. And especially the overall success that it seems like Chicago Fire continues to pump out in the goalkeeping ranks. Including the U.S. national team's very own Chris Brady, a part of the Chicago Fire organization. And even next pro ranks, you had Patrick Lowe starting the majority of the games last year. He went to college. Jason Nemo, the 16-year-old, might be the next one in line. Especially during this couple of weeks where all eyes in the MLS organizations have been within the next pro sides, with the respective first teams on break. As Chicago turns it over, Bolts at the center circle. Outside for Nig. Fleming retreats back. Deep ball gets interrupted. Nothing more will come. Chattanooga. They'll cycle around with the unchanged back 5 they had. Matthias Hanchar and Farid Sarsar, the primary center backs in front of Eldin Jakupovic. You also have Yves Chalop and Anton Sorensen on the outside. Sorensen spent the last 2 years with Charlotte Independence in USL League One. That quick 2-year hiatus from MLS Next Pro, where he started the first 4 years of his pro career with Philadelphia Union 2. closing in on 150 matches combined as a pro. First half a dozen minutes, nothing to speak of on the scoreboard. Only the singular shot attempt by Chicago to this point. A Chicago side that has not had a lot of success on the road, but Bolts looking to turn on Sarsar. As they battle, Sarsar will get a tip on it back towards Jakupovic. Especially with how much trust and chemistry you have between the center back and keeper, Jakupovic and Sarsar. They were one of 4 players in all of MLS Next Pro, not just within Chattanooga, within the entire league, that played every regular season minute in 2025. And it helps when you have all that experience within the relationship, within building chemistry, understanding. One of the reasons why Chattanooga have had that consistency. Pushing it ahead, too far ahead. They were looking for Turdine, but Jakupovic will make the play. Gotta appreciate the looks toward Robert Turdine, especially after his 1 goal, 1 assist performance against Inter Miami 2 about 2 weeks ago. Kusikowski on the recovery, keeps it outside to the center, Anselin. He'll circle back. Chop and Sarsar sends it diagonally where Sorensen is in the middle for Mangarov. Return to Sorensen. He crosses, ricochets, Anselin turns, stopped by Nemo, still loose in the box. The rebound, Kusikowski denied again. Chicago finally clear. What a scramble drill from Chattanooga, but they couldn't make anything go. And 2 fantastic stops from Jason Nemo. However, Chattanooga on the hunt again. 2 wide of Anselin. Retreats for Louis Jean. Consistency of the performance and the execution have been a lot of what Richard Dixon has been looking for from these guys. Especially when things haven't necessarily gone their way. Everyone's played their role. They've stepped up in big ways. Keegan Anselin is the fresh starter. He gets a swing on Nemo, laying it back towards Kusikowski, and that's off of the chest of Nemo also. Maybe he could have gathered it in, but Cups was there for assistance. Everyone being able to step up, especially in rotation of minutes for Richard Dixon's Chattanooga FC. You saw 2 of the new entries with Keegan Anselin and Kusikowski a part of that last little inbox scramble. And it just speaks to the depth of Chattanooga FC, despite being a team, one of the independents, where you don't have that first team or really academy to pull from. Takedown just past center. Villanueva wins the foul. And the yellow card goes against Luke Kusikowski. You had Villanueva right at center. A little bit of a hand fighting from Kusikowski was enough to bring Villanueva down. Chicago Academy product from Mexico wins the foul. Pineda on top of it. Chicago will cycle. Napo accelerates. It does get poked out for the first corner of the match. Expect a lot of corners potentially in this match, considering that these two are right beside each other. Chicago number 6, Chattanooga number 5 in the most corners in the league, so we could be seeing a lot of action from the corner flags. Damian Nigg goes short. Chicago will cycle. Nagel wants the feed right to Jakupovic. Support for tonight's match comes for Erlanger, proud to be the exclusive healthcare provider of Chattanooga Football Club. Still zeros in the first dozen plus. We at the very least have the 2 shots on target from Chattanooga from that one sequence, and a nice slide by Sorensen to stop the progress. Chattanooga firmly in 6th place with their 26 points, including 7 points in their last 3 matches, between the 2 PK wins and the 1 regulation win. They do have an outside chance to get first if they can continue to make things happen. As that time the fans wanted something from our head official, but not quite. Currently, the 6th place Chattanooga FC are 6 points away from the top of the Eastern table. That's currently occupied by Columbus Crew 2. They're 32 points, 6 above Chattanooga's 26. Another deep ball, Jakupovic, aggressive to contact on Bolts. And the ball will stay with Chicago on the toss. Jakupovic was the last one to make contact on that. That's a lot of what we've seen from Eldin Jakupovic. Sometimes the aggressiveness and his IQ, still getting things done at 41 years of age. The reigning MLS Next Pro Goalkeeper of the Year. Off, escape some pressure. Damian Nigg keeps in play. These 2 will play in 2026. The first one was way back in mid-March. That was back at SeatGeek Stadium, where the Fire were the ones who came out with the win, 2-1 the final there. And these 2 will play one more time, actually on Decision Day on September 20th, and that will be also back at SeatGeek Stadium, despite only playing twice between all of 2024 and 25. Chicago have won all 3 of those matches, 2 of those in regulation and 1 in PKs. The 1 in PKs came the very first time these 2 played in June of 2024 to a 1-1 draw. And 2 Chicago wins in regulation since. Maybe not only for Chattanooga the chance to build their way even into the top 3 if they get the win today. The regulation win, that is. Maybe a chance to get the first against this Fire team that have eyes on getting above the playoff line. Only 1 point behind 8th place Atlanta. Kusikowski across. Charlotte. Cups in a foot race with Anselin as Cups pokes it out of play. This segment of the match is presented by FTC Development, developing unique spaces that inspire since 1912. Toss. Back in play. Nig has it outside the box. Couldn't be kept in by Chicago. So this will be another Chattanooga throw in deep in Chicago's end. And if it's anything like the other two that we saw, expect this to be a toss straight to the penalty area. Left behind, still loose. Anselin couldn't get a swing. Barker John chases. Barker John circles defenders. Took a tip. Back for Chicago. Couldn't lead it too far. Chalup's the lone man back. Of June for both of these two teams. Relatively successful June so far for Chicago, winning 2 of 3 so far. And for Chattanooga's intents and purposes, they have been perfect in the month of June in their first 3 matches, more or less. 3 wins, but 2 of those came on penalties, so he did have those 2 points that were on the table. But their offense really exploded with 9 goals in those last 3 games. Advantage played. Chicago does well defensively. As Nagel, the center back, steps up. Chicago cycle it back. Deep. Napo lost his footing as he was tangled up with Chalup. Ahead, Villanueva chops it up. It will be Chattanooga ball. Still zeros on the board, 20 minutes in. These are 2 teams that have not necessarily been the most apt to score goals. Chattanooga are actually within the top 5 with their 30 goals this year. Looking for Anselin, may have taken contact. No foul called. Amin Hadzik's our lead official in green. He's been letting a lot of things go today. Austin Holt, Tom Felice, and Rebecca Luther are the remainder of the crew. But they are letting things go in today's game. Sometimes that can often change right around. It's typically about the last month or 2 where things really start to take a turn, but maybe things have been adjusted a little bit early as we're just past the halfway mark in 2026 of MLS Next Pro. We are in the back half for Chicago's schedule officially, as this is game number 15 of 28 for them. For Chattanooga, they're a little further along. This is game 16 of 28 for CFC. enter the back half, things might be allowed to go a little more frequently as Parker John goes outside. Anslin retrieves. He's got Kusikiewski alongside. Kusikiewski crosses, blocked and out. Chavez got in the way. Chavez starting in 5 of 7 appearances. Got in the last block on the outside. Ever since making his debut on Cinco de Mayo in New York against NYC, he's been a mainstay in that left back slot. Is Emiliano Chavez, the 16-year-old from Chicago. CFC reset. Parker John. You see Chavez once again getting aggressive defensively. It's actually forcing Chattanooga back a little bit more with the aggressiveness on defense. Kusikiewski sweeps it across. Mangarov fakes the cross, wants to go there. Still Mangarov to a goal kick. It could be a bit of a more difficult day for Chattanooga, especially offensively, considering their top goal scorer, Alex Krell, is not available either in the starting 11 or on the bench. He accounts for a third of Chattanooga's goals, 9 of 30 of them. And you also have one of the mainstays in the midfield unavailable as well, Isaiah Jones, appearing in 13 of the 16 matches, including a heavy dose of the starts. Some of the many changes made for Chattanooga FC. Battled the respective injury bugs at times this year. As Chicago worked their way up, Napo with Fleming serves it. Too far ahead. Had eyes for Turdine. As we are 25 minutes in this match, still no goals behind either Nemo or Jakupovic. Bold pressures Jakupovic, who gets rid of it. Nagel hustles back. Taken away by Chattanooga. Kusikiewski at the center line. Five games in the Saturday slate of MLS Next Pro. We already had the conclusion of San Jose and Portland earlier. There's still 2 more matches in the West coming up. How important is the other game in the East between Atlanta and Crown Legacy? Considering that Chicago are currently trying to catch up to Atlanta, number 8 slot, to get above the playoff line. Turdine to the corner. Waits for options. Couldn't locate Pineda. McGrath just powers it off the line, and it'll stay right towards center with Chicago. Halfway through the first half. Haven't had a shot attempt since that last little scramble play in front of Jason Nemo. Chicago's lone shot attempts came in the opening 2 minutes or so. Chicago, not a team that necessarily generates a lot of chances. Their 61 shots on target is the 6th fewest in MLS Next Pro. And their shooting percentage, they're amongst some of the lowest in all of MLS Next Pro. You're not just shooting, you're shooting at will, very inefficiently. It can be very difficult to score goals. A department where they're bottom 10 in the league in that as well. Not really making goalies sweat for it or force their way through, but they have been able to get some things done in the last couple of matches. Putting up 4 recently against Huntsville and putting up 3 against Inter Miami a couple weeks back. Very defensive forward team. That in the 3 wins they've recently had, they've only allowed 2 goals within them. Shut out Huntsville, allowed 1 against each Miami and New England, but by that point they already amassed a 2-goal lead, did the Fire. So at that point they were just hanging on to the lead. Approaching the half an hour. Nagel ahead with Napo. Chipped it across. Turdine to chase. Keeps it in for Nig. Nig into the box. Squirming through. Gives it a try, but well wide. Chicago, at the very least, trying to get something to go. Only their 2nd shot attempt all game long. That is way wide, way high. And as we are just before the half an hour mark, we will have our hydration break here. It is a scalding 86-degree day. And the good news is we'll be here the entire time. But for Chattanooga, they really have to find a way to get into the top 3. And for Chicago, they have a chance to break into the top 8. We are only in the 2nd day of Week 17 slate. We take a look back. We actually started off the match week with LAFC 2 and Minnesota United 2. LAFC just trying to stay afloat right now. CT United actually making a decent push for the playoff line. However, NYCFC, they jumped over it with that 25-point mark that they had in that 4-1 win against CTU, which Chicago can actually tie if they take the full 3. And then you have last Sunday's slate as well. A tough result for Orlando CDB, but a very favorable one for Red Bull New York, as both Red Bull and OCB are tied with New England Revolution, 28 points apiece between the 3 of them, which is tied for top 3 in the East. And when you have 4 points separating number 1 to number 5, if you want to include Chattanooga in that mix, 6 points separating 1 through 6. It's really anyone's game at that point. It seemed through and through for that first 3 months or so that it was Crown Legacy, Red Bull New York, and then the rest of the crowd. But seemingly the development, the coaching, just the results especially, everyone has just been feasting amongst each other. It's been a true battle for this top of the table in the Eastern Conference. No one's really pulled away and no one's really safe. Crown Legacy has had a couple string of poor results. Columbus had a string of really good results. And these two amongst the mix as well. Chicago with wins in 2 straight, both in regulation. For Chattanooga, wins in 3 straight. However, 2 of those were in penalties. Especially in the back half of the regular season, it is never too soon or a bad time to talk about how the table can pan out. But at the end of the day, that is the nature of where we are within the season. Who knows how that could change once MLS makes their change into the fall to spring calendar. We have the remainder of this season, the mini spring season coming up. And then you have the official change coming in the summer of 2027, basically a year away from that. Want to dress like the pros? Grab your official Chattanooga FC jerseys, hats, and Adidas fan gear today at shop.chattanoogaFC.com. Bolts, cuts it down to the outside, sends it across, no one on the receiving end. That was Villanueva on the service. But good news for Chattanooga, they'll have possession. Good news for Chicago, it's right by the corner flag, so. It's Napo. Chicago will hang on. Especially for Chicago at this time of the year, they have so much experience within their coaching ranks, both between the first team and the second team. Whether it's the tandem of Mike Matkovich and assistant player coach Omar Gonzalez leading things with the second team, or everything that Greg Berhalter has done with the first team and his experience between MLS and how things can translate internationally. Turned over, Chicago in the middle, tipped back to Fleming. Nig needs contact. Goal kick, Jakupovic. Kind of wrapping up that last thought, according to assistant player coach Omar Gonzalez, how when you have so many high-end pros across all departments, it really helps. Especially with how it can help Omar Gonzalez develop as a coach, and Mike Matkovich and utilizing the resources between the first team and second team. First team should be coming back very soon from their World Cup break. Bouncing down Chicago's end. Pineda kept it in play. Chicago pushing upfield. Turdine dislodged. Good work by Sarsar. Mangarov drops it off. Sorensen forces it ahead. Anselin around Cups. Anselin. Did that last go off of Cups, so did Anselin do that unimpeded? That last one off of Cups. This is Chattanooga's first corner of the match. Especially after the handful of long tosses Chattanooga have had. He goes to the corner flag for the first time with 10 minutes to go in the first half. Deep cross, back post, Anselin got contact. He wasn't the only one though, as it goes for back-to-back corners. We mentioned it earlier, we'll mention it again. Number 5 and number 6 in the most corners taken between Chattanooga and Chicago respectively. Could expect more of this as the game goes on. Daniel Mangarov sets up on the far end. Another deep curl, had it, and right to Nemo. That's another great attempt by Husakiewski, but couldn't get past the man between the pipes, Jason Nemo. Husakiewski was one of the many in the scramble drill earlier in the half. That time he gets away from his marker and gets the header, but it's right towards Nemo, right in the middle of the goal area. Husakiewski only has 1 goal this year, but that was towards the end of May in that loss to Orlando City. And we're gonna have an early sub here by Chattanooga just before the halftime break. As we saw, Keegan Anselin had an awkward fall in his little scrap with Christopher Cupp, so this will be the change made by Richard Dixon, maybe as a precaution, and this will bring in Yuval Cohen. Cohen in for Anselin. Another guy who has not really gotten off of the mark. Only 1 goal to this point of the season. He has 2 total in his Chattanooga FC tenure. The first one actually came on decision day in 2025. That one's booted away. Cups is there. Play back. Nig got her on Sorensen. Nig drives the gut. Wanted to lead it, too far ahead for Dean Bolts. Damian Nig in his first season stateside after spending the last 5 in his native Switzerland. A lot of experience professionally, over 125 matches, predominantly in Europe. Chattanooga FC guys really trying to present something greater for this Chattanooga community, how much they've rallied around, especially the passion of the club and the fans, and how much that really carries its weight as the best representation of the club. Finley Stadium's been a fortress. Chattanooga are 5-2-0 so far when playing here at Finley. Played their first playoff game here a year ago. Came down to the wire in the regular season to get in the top 4 slot to even host a game here. And a 4-on-2 brewing for Chattanooga. Damian Barker-John has options. Outside for Cohen, just too far ahead. Still no score. 43 minutes in. We have now ballooned up to 6 shot attempts between the two teams. And we've also tacked on a shot on goal as well, and that was the header from Luke Kusikiewski, who has 2 of the 3 shots on target in this match. You have man slowly getting up. Nig off the service from Nemo. Fleming, aggressive contact from Cohen. And is there a chance of a yellow card here from Yuval Cohen? You just see how he reaches the leg out. Reaches out for the leg, gets some contact, and just a mutual understanding that that's not allowed. Only the 1 yellow card still from Luke Kusikiewski, and that's about it. A lot of things have flown from Amin Hadzak. That's what you're gonna get a little bit in this back half of the season. The referees maybe swallowing their whistles a little more on some ticky-tacky fouls. Maybe some of the more aggressive fouls, instead of being yellow cards, might be just warnings, stern warnings perhaps. Something much different in comparison to traditional regular season play. Three extra minutes on the board in the first half in a scoreless game. Chollop, tangled up, does win the foul. And this will be a very deep free kick. Chattanooga go back and play. Kept in the attacking half. Luis Jean outside. Works alongside Sorensen. Barker John sends it across. Mangarov catches it in the middle, and they score! McGrath, he's back, and Chattanooga score first. He missed 2 months of the season due to injury, and that's his first goal contribution of any kind. Sends it across. Mangarov gets some flight on it, right to the one touch, midair from Alex McGrath, the captain. And he's able to get it in bottom corner to get this game's first goal. 45 plus 3 of 3 for the 29-year-old Alex McGrath. Only his 5th goal of the season on 10 appearances. He had injury problems between April and May, and since his return, that's his first goal contribution. They're already short their leading goal scorer in Alex Krell. McGrath actually led the team for about the first 2 months when he was healthy, and Chicago were able to win a corner just on the precipice of halftime. Only 5 matches since McGrath's return. He got the opening goal. Damian Nigg makes his way to the corner flag, maybe for a response from Chicago. Second corner for the Fire. Swung in, punched out Jakupovic, and that'll be the halftime break. Not a lot going on throughout all of 45, but just before the break in first half stoppage time, Alex McGrath gets back on the board to get the 1-0 lead for CFC. Coming up at halftime, we look ahead for a new club in Long Island. Highlights an upcoming schedule when we come back.
They say the world's game is played everywhere. This is how we play it here. Every weekend across North America. From Vancouver's mountain rain to the shores of Florida. From the City of Angels to the Heartland. The world's brightest stars light up our fields.
Let's go.
And our fans bring the world to life. In every language, in every city. One game, one roar. Sold out nights under lights. New soccer citadels rising from coast to coast. Every chant, every goal, another brick in a growing relief. Now, the world's biggest stage comes to our home. And when they arrive, they'll find the game's heartbeat has been here all along.
Grand Rapids last time, but we go back to the Northeast for another future club in Long Island, the Island FC.
The opportunity to build a professional soccer club in Long Island, you know, to me is really unique. Number one, because I'm from New York, I'm from Queens. It's a community that I'm very familiar with, that I resonate with. Long Island has a tremendous source of pride that only Long Islanders know and feel. To do this in a place where there is such a rich soccer history, you know, on the youth end, professionally, is also unique. You know, we're not just launching a soccer club. We're launching a culture. We're launching a community space. We're launching a brand and a team that will make Long Island proud. The Island FC will represent, not just what's happening on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. And at the end of the day, I want to make sure that we certainly give more than we take, and that's in all parts of the organization and the club.
I came to Long Island 40 years ago now and created the very first professional coaching organization. And out of that has grown this tremendous industry of viral coaching, super clubs and companies. And this is really an end result for that. It's an opportunity through the Island FC to act as an embracing organization that really brings the island together in a significant way and propels male and female soccer to the top. This is bringing professional soccer right to the heart of Long Island, and it makes that dream a reality. They will see young Long Island players coming through and playing pro here with the Island FC and representing Long Island on that international stage.
The biggest sporting event in the world is embracing two ideas that started here. One designed to keep the game moving, another designed to better protect the players within it. Both were first tested in MLS Next Pro.
The league launched in 2022, but prior to that, there were 4 pillars that we came around, really rallied around, where we wanted to build and drive growth. Those 4 pillars were professional development, local communities, access, and innovation. The game has been around for over 100 years, but for the most part, a lot of the rules have stayed the same. But the game has evolved so much, particularly over the last 30 years.
MLS Next Pro has been a really good proving ground for a lot of these new rules that they're bringing into effect. The players and the competition have been very open to trying out new things. We've seen some really, really good developments, and a lot of the things that have been trialed in that competition have been elevated to MLS, and now we're seeing elevated to the FIFA level as well. This was something that it was easy for them to get their heads around. But I was pleasantly surprised to see them take this on in a format that's very, very similar to what we've been doing already.
Ideas don't become rules overnight. Changing the game meant bringing people together from every corner of the sport.
I think it took a lot of courage for us to implement some of the new rules, but we knew that if we did it in an authentic way and we got information from so many different stakeholders in parts of the game, that we could do it in a safe way that would help players, would help administrators and coaches, and really would be good for the sport.
Eventually, the conversation moved from meeting rooms to match day.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be a part of the first game ever with this in MLS Next Pro in 2022, where we got an email. We had to join a webinar where we had to go over these rules, and there was great understanding of how this was going to go and overview about these 2 specific rules that we're going to have implemented more specifically for MLS Next Pro. So I really thought the on-field treatment rule was an awesome implementation, because that's something that we deal with a ton as referees. It's something that causes friction, always causes issues for game management when you have players going down for injuries and calling a trainer on when it's not necessarily a serious injury. So I knew initially that was going to be a fantastic one, that was going to be helping our game improvement. And then the substitution rule we knew was also going to be one of the ones that was going to help. So I was really looking forward to doing that one and implementing that, because it's something that's game management we have to deal with.
The expectation was that there would be an adjustment period, maybe even resistance. Nobody knew how the players would respond once the whistle blew.
Players bought into it really quickly, and it was something that the entire league was able to understand it, and really you saw buy-in from everybody, and it was just really easily implemented at MLS Next Pro, and really didn't see much pushback. The biggest thing that I've seen is where players are smart enough to know if they leave the field voluntarily with our permission, they don't have to wait a minute. So if they're near the sideline or the end line or something where they say, hey ref, I just need a minute, I'm gonna go off, perfect. They can go off and get whatever treatment they need to, and they know they don't have to wait a minute. You're getting your treatment that you have. You're not implementing any of the on-field treatment rules or anything. You're just taking yourself out of it for a second. So that's where players really come in smart to how they handle things. And then for the substitution rule, I've seen several times where I would talk to a captain and I tell him the player has to come off and he's not, and you see a captain or a teammate pushing that player off the field because they know that if you're not off in that 10 seconds, they don't want to play for 10 at the disadvantage that they would have.
The changes on field were obvious, and the numbers told the same story.
The data was really compelling. If you look at the numbers before the rule was implemented, on average, for those stoppages associated with injuries that are 15 seconds or more, you really were looking at stoppages in games that were 5 to 6 times per game. Once we implemented the new rules, that number went down to between 1 and 1.5 times per game. And so the data was very, very compelling that when you implemented a rule like this, it really would reduce those preventable match delays. And that was really exciting for us. But when you do the analysis in terms of number of fouls and yellow cards and red cards and some of those metrics, we found that those remain consistent whether the rule was in place or not. And that was a positive dynamic for us. And it's one of the key indicators that the rule's working.
The experiment was working in MLS Next Pro and was brought to MLS 2 years later. That success pushed these ideas to the biggest stage in the game.
It's amazing that every single law change that comes into play comes from some competition or some situation that happened at maybe it was UEFA Champions League final, or maybe it was another World Cup that inspired a rule change. So to have from our own competition, coming from North America to have a rule change come into play for me, it's special because I've been there from the very beginning. I've helped implement this from a management standpoint, so I'm excited to see how it's going to be implemented on the world stage by competitions, by referees, and by teams from around the world.
For the people who helped build it, the impact is still sinking in.
You never really understand the impact that you might have on the sport. And so to be part of MLS Next Pro and to be part of this process and leading this process as it relates to new rules and innovation has been a real shining star for me as it relates to my career. I'm just super excited and proud and grateful to be part of the process. I can't wait for the games to happen in the World Cup and to see them. These are important new rules for the growth of the game, so it's extremely rewarding, and I can't articulate how happy and proud I am.
In addition to the rule influences at this summer's FIFA World Cup, 105 players at the tournament spent time with an MLS club, 44 of whom developed through the MLS player pathway. Of the 44, 19 spent time in MLS Next Pro. Fans can get a closer look at this historic group by heading to MLSNextPro.com. Back here at Finley Stadium, 1-0 Chattanooga FC lead Chicago Fire 2. And we took a look back at Week 16 earlier. We look ahead at the remainder of Week 17 and maybe even going to Week 18. But it's a very busy Sunday slate. As we mentioned, 8 matches, 5 of them including Eastern Conference teams. Toronto are a team to look out for, especially this matchup. If you're Chicago, they're tied with each other right in the 9th place slot. New England could make a push into the top 2 as they're only 4 points behind the number 1 seeded Columbus Crew 2. And what a game that could be with them in Orlando CDB. Orlando could get within a point of Columbus, or Columbus could potentially pull away from the remainder of the field. You also have Red Bull New York and Philly Union 2, a classic battle there, as Philly Union also makes the chase into the top 8, with them being 2 points away from Atlanta as we stand today. We look back, we looked ahead, and let's look at the here and now. The last 45 minutes of play. Halftime highlight from MLS Next Pro. Match Week 17 between Chattanooga and Chicago. Anton Sorensen and Daniel Mangarov, they were very busy, especially on this near side. This was that scramble drill right in front. Anslin got a swing. Came back up top for Husakiewski, but 2 great saves by Jason Nemo early on in the match. Chicago would have chances of their own. However, they weren't really able to do a lot of good with it. Robert Turdine did keep it in play. And this is one of the 2 shots attempted by Chicago in the first half. It was Damian Nig at the top of the box. He was well wide and well high. And this was a great corner by Chattanooga, but the header from Husakiewski went right into the chest of Jason Nemo. But Chattanooga, they would bang at the door, and sooner or later they would bust it down. Damian Barker-John flies it across for Mangarov, back in the middle for McGrath, who eventually smashed it home for the first goal of this match. And that is where we stand at halftime. It is McGrath from Mangarov and Barker-John. And that is where we stand through 45 minutes of play. We return to the center of the park here at Finley Stadium. Chattanooga FC will take the second half kickoff in their white and blue. They'll go from left to right. Chicago will start with the ball right to left in the all red. As we are ready for the second half kickoff, where Chattanooga have a 1-0 lead to this point. A place where Chattanooga has been very strong in their season. They are 5-1-2 when scoring the opening goal, but Chicago have a chance to come back. As we are back from halftime here at Finley Stadium. Ryan Lee and our entire MLS Next Pro crew welcome you back to Chattanooga, where it is a chase in the back half of the 2026 campaign for Chattanooga. If the result holds, they could jump as high as 3rd. Barker-John creating pressure. Nemo does collect it again. They are 2 points behind a 3-team cluster between 3rd and 5th. Red Bull New York, Orlando City, and New England, all at 28 points apiece between 3rd and 5th. Chattanooga can pass all 3 of them into the top 3. They'd like to host another playoff game here at Finley after getting a 4th seed in 2025. With Chicago on the attack, Malin Napo. Napo from distance, stopped by Jakupovic, Bolt on the chase. However, Sorensen unable to do so. This will give Chicago the first corner of the second half. Only 2 attempts on goal. That was their 3rd, their first on target. And Malin Napo perhaps feeling it a little bit after his first goal 2 weeks ago against Inter Miami. First attempt of the second half. Back post, punched out, Jakupovic again. And we go end to end. Chattanooga had back-to-back corners at the end of the first half. Chicago will get back-to-back corners to start the second half. Especially after McGrath got the game-opening goal in the final stoppage time minute. Low ball, driven, and inside the post and in! The service from Nig rattled around into the back of the net, and Chicago respond. This game's tied 1-1. Hard to see who that went off of, but you had all sorts of banging and rattling. You had players on both teams making contact on the low service. The last one in front of the net, you had Emiliano Chavez in front. Villanueva doing some work. We'll have to wait for the official scoring. But at the very least, Chicago have tied this game. Only 2 minutes and change into the second half. If you include the stoppage time minute, it's 2 goals in 4 game minutes. between the final minute of stoppage time and the opening 2.5 minutes of the second half. As of right now, they're giving the credit to Damian Villanueva for what could be his first MLS Next Pro goal. We'll have to see if that stands or if that changes later on. But a toss in for Chicago. Held on by Mangarov, boots it upward. No one can claim it. Sarsar steps ahead. Cohen around for Chavez. And Turdine just got slammed down by Luis Jean, as Luis Jean won the ball back for CFC. So the scoring has stood. Damian Villanueva with his first goal in MLS Next Pro. Only has a handful of assists so far, yet to get a goal. And the assist was awarded to Damian Nig. Chicago have only recouped points in 2 of the 6 games where they fell behind. They got 1 game to PKs and 1 win in the 6 times they have conceded first. For Chattanooga, they have held on well. They've gotten points in 7 of the 8 where they scored the opener. Hustle down. Bolts wins it for Chicago. Great effort there by the 2025 number 3 overall pick before it's picked off by Luis Jean. Held back to Mangarov. Opening 5 minutes of the second half. Leading the way, Cohen on the outside of the frame. But it took a clip on the way. A corner for Chattanooga, their first of the half. A good ball to lead the way for Yuval Cohen, able to get it around Christopher Cups, but it hits the side netting. And this will bring Mangarov to the corner for the first time in the second half, after 2 in the first half. Low driver, back outside. Mangarov kept it in play. Still going. Daniel Mangarov. Partial block on the try, and it's caught by Nemo. Chicago have won all 3 matches that these two have played. One of those was in PKs, the other 2 in regulation, as Dean Bolts leads the drive, cut off by Sarsar. And Sarsar sends it straight to the stands. Division 2 product from Nova Southeastern, Farid Sarsar, the Argentine center back. Back around for Chicago. This is a team whose respective parent club in Major League Soccer is in great footing, considering that Chicago Fire are one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference of Major League Soccer, as Mark John collects himself from the end boards. Current 3rd place seed for Fire's first team, as it's centered, headed, and off the post and out. Sarsar eventually clears. Back ahead for Chicago. Up top, Pineda. Slithering through. Has Fleming. Nig on the outside. Collects it back. And still in play for Chicago. Pineda leads it. He's got Napo on the outside. It took a clip on the way, so it's another Chicago corner. Milan Napo has been feeling it. The 16-year-old from the Fire Academy has really taken his opportunity in spades. His third start, charging the goal on that near post, but couldn't get it through, and it's the third corner of the half for Chicago, just under 10 minutes into the second half. Nick scored on the last one. High driver, bouncing away. As it stands, Nig for Villanueva. There's the scoring on that last corner. Chicago still possess in the attacking half. Cups lifted. Offside were Chicago. Very steady back presence for Chattanooga. Everyone in the back five has played at least a dozen games in this 2026 season. Sorensen, Farid Sarsar, and Eldin Jakupovic have all started 15 of 16 for Chattanooga. As Chattanooga are the ones attacking, trying to find the way in with Mangarov on the trailer. Cohen couldn't locate him. Tardine lost his footing, still alive. Nig. Great job sliding through the defense as this allows Chicago to recoup. Napo holds back as Chavez might have been offside. Turdine to the outside. Try from distance, it scores! Oh, that is beautiful! Chicago absolutely on fire! 2-1 they lead. Chattanooga frustrated by the call. They're complaining to the officiating crew. Quick sidestep, left-footed, inside the post. Absolute banger. Damian Villanueva, he's got two. Villanueva just scored his first goal a little under 10 minutes ago on the corner. He inadvertently deflected off him. And seemingly so, it might have unlocked something. One step to the left, an absolute rocket into the top corner for goal number 2 on the day. Tonight's match is brought to you by Vibrant Meals. Chef-prepared meals ready in 3 minutes. Voted Tennessee's favorites. A steamy day here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. 83 degrees at Finley. It was actually all the way up to 88 at the time of kickoff, but it has cooled down mildly as Farid Sarsar little slow to get up, took some contact from Bolts. And they are sending the officiating crew likely as a precaution. And you can see Bolts and Sarsar, they both had a little head-on-head collision. You saw Bolts rubbing the back of his head as Sarsar was rubbing the front of it. They're allowing Sarsar to get a little bit of evaluation. Sarsar's actually making a good point. If he has to get evaluated, why isn't Bolts? But with the new FIFA rules like they outlined at halftime and their overall influence in the game, MLS Next Pro was actually the guinea pig for a lot of these rules, whether if it's the injury substitution that Chattanooga is going to temporarily play 11v10, or the 5-second countdown on throw-ins and goal kicks. A lot of those rules were actually implemented first by MLS Next Pro, and then went into the other leagues, Major League Soccer, went internationally, so on and so forth. Major influence on this year's World Cup as the outside for Chavez gets blocked by Luis Jean. It stays with Chicago.
Substitution for CFC. Entering the game is
So a couple of changes will be made for
leaving the game.
Coach Dixon right at the hour mark.
Entering the game for the CFC.
Down a goal after leading a goal at halftime. They'll put in Tate Robertson and Amzeon Sid Mohan as Luke Husikiewski and the goal scorer Alex McGrath will make their respective exits.
61st minute.
With no Alex Krell in the lineup, the next highest goal scorer on the team is indeed Tate Robertson. 7, but also the leading goal contributor, tied with Krell. They are split at 11. The Poe wanted to chip it in before it's cleared out from Chattanooga. Amzeon Sid Mohan, the 24-year-old, spent part of last season with Columbus Crew second team for the Algerian, where he spent the first 6 years of his pro career in their youth programs. Tate Robertson, part of the MLS Next Pro Best 11. A finalist for Defender of the Year last year. Still getting things done at 29 years old. Still effective. His second season of his second stint with Chattanooga FC. The first 2 years were back when Chattanooga was still in Nisa in the 2021-22 campaigns. So a little bit of help on the offensive end, a defensive midfielder for an attacking midfielder, and a swap of attacking midfielders. Dixon talking about the groups and pairings being very deliberate and how much planning goes into having the guys working not just with each other but for each other. They got some work done for another corner in the second half. Way back. Quick swing, Sid Mohan straight to Nemo. So the official scoring for the second goal is a 57th minute goal. So 2 goals, only 9 minutes apart for Damian Villanueva. He wins a foul in the process. First one assisted from Damian Nig on the corner, and the second one, that laser with assist from Milan Napo and Robert Turdine. For Turdine, that's 3 goal contributions in the last 3 matches. Or maybe a chance ahead. It's Mohand, stopped by Nemo. Rebound is loose, cleared by Fleming. Back at center, Chattanooga recover before it's bounced back towards Jakupovic. Barker John settles it down. Got the assist on the first goal to McGrath. He and Mangarov helped out McGrath in the 45+3, the opening goal of the match. Then you had 2 goals 9 minutes apart in the 48th and 57th, both from Damian Villanueva. We now sit 20 minutes into the second half. Milan Napo, his stock keeps rising, an assist in this game, leading the charge. Wanted the call out from Turdine, but got blocked in the way. Chavez got it free. Bolts pursuing. Too much so, takes a foul. One of the things that Chattanooga really focused on, especially after that NYC match, is the defensive transition. How they didn't really allow NYC to get their numbers and speed going, and how they still have their momentary gaps in concentration, and how they can let their guard down in spurts. They drew a corner against NYC that they would eventually convert, and their lone goal allowed in that match. Can they find a way to lock in and maybe recoup something in the last 25 of this one? Especially against the Chicago group, still very much learning the moment-by-moment scenarios for one of the youngest teams in all of MLS Next Pro. Just the overflow of information and the experience between Omar Gonzalez as a player coach, Mike Makovich and everything he's done, Rick Berhalter. Chicago had to defend. Robertson was the target in the middle. Clearance goes off him. Sid Mohand takes the foul. Could that be a yellow card for Robertson? No, it's not going to be. They're more focused on the contact in front. Could have potentially made an argument for Robertson kicking the ball away from that last moment, but here's the last section of play there. Clearance goes off him, and oh, it's Sid Mohand. He got the studs up on Villanueva on the follow-through. Good to know that all is cordial and all is good after that scenario. Passage, the official ticketing platform for Chattanooga Football Club. These two will have a full week off before they play again on July 4th weekend. Chattanooga, it will be on the 4th where they host Inter Miami 2. The start of a 5-game July stretch for CFC. They'll be at Finley 3 of those. Chicago Fire, they will actually play on that Sunday, the 5th, where it's the final tale of their 3-game road trip. This is leg number 2. Chollop in the middle, headed and just missed by Cohen. Cohen had eyes for his second goal of the season, just couldn't get it through. But what a great feed here by Yves Chollop. All alone on the near side. A nice feed, and maybe you could argue that was, it's hard to tell whether or not that was an issue on the feed or on the reception, but it just barely brushes the hair of Yuval Cohen. joined Chattanooga in August of last season after spending 2 full seasons with Inter Miami 2. Only got 1 goal in his short 2-month stint with Chattanooga last year, and hasn't really been able to get that same productivity of 9 goals in the year and a half he had with Inter Miami 2. But has still been a reliable player for CFC since he came in. A regular starter, a regular in the roster. Especially for Richard Dixon's side. It's just been about not only executing not just about the game plan prior to the game, but sometimes when things break down and go awry, some of the individual talent to break through it. Comes outside, Chattanooga throw. And we will be having our first subs for Chicago Fire too. So first up, we have Brody Williams taking the place of the 2-time goal scorer, Damian Villanueva. And then you also have the entry of the player coach, Omar Gonzalez, for Emiliano Chavez. Omar Gonzalez predominantly has played center back through his 300 matches in Major League Soccer. He subs in for one of the outside backs as Robertson takes the toss right to Nemo. It's actually one of the interesting parts when talking to Omar Gonzalez about his time with Chicago Fire too, how he's still very much that player. He still gets into drills, still gets in the weeds of it, practicing with the team, but at times he'll get pulled out to have more of that coaching role and the leadership aspect of that as well, sharing his near 500 matches of experience. He is closing in on 500 total matches. He is over 490 matches. 2 of those games came this season in Next Pro. The last game out against New England and a game in April against Orlando. His 3rd appearance of the season for the 37-year-old Omar Gonzalez. It's honestly one of the more unique and interesting conversations we had. Chattanooga on the attack, tossed in for Sid Mohand. Sid Mohand, only 7th game of the regular season this year. In his 2nd season with CFC, Barker John the other way. Barker John around Nagel. Barker John punched out by Nemo. No rebound available, just booted out by Chicago. They'll go end-to-end for Jakupovic. As you can see, the fresh legs of Brody Williams just chugging along out there. ...17 total shot attempts. 10 of them for Chattanooga. Maybe an 11th here. Barker John slithering through. Barker John! He's been fantastic! Barker John, his 6th of the season, and this game's tied at 2. Barker John has been more than capable of some of these individual efforts. Already a career high 6 goals of the season, but that's 3 goal contributions in the last 4 for the ex-Louisville Cardinal. And this is a great segue into our hydration break. Probably no better time for Chicago, who might want to figure out how they want to transition, how they want to collect themselves and move on from this after allowing the equalizer to Damian Barker John. Already on an assist, now gets a goal. As we take a look at how we've gotten to this point, these are the last 2 goals. This is that banger from outside by Damian Villanueva back in the 57th minute. The helpers there were from Napo and Turdine, and you could just see the quality of the player that was for Villanueva. And this was the individual effort by Barker John. He shakes off 2 defenders, and then the veteran Gonzalez, and just smokes that one inside of the left post. Barker John, that is goals for him in back-to-back matches. Had a goal against NYC, a goal today, and actually, yeah, that. And for Damian Barker John, he has been excellent at this point. Already some of the highest totals in his young career. Barker John. It's a unique one, assist from the 2 center backs, but a loose ball doesn't get for Chicago. Robertson retreats for Jakupovic. So in the middle of that hydro break, Chattanooga also make a pair of changes on their left side of their defensive line. Maybe trying to change some things up, as you have center back for center back. Nathan Kohler will enter the match right at that 75th-ish minute mark, 76 minutes. And Kohler is the center back replacement for Matthias Hanchard. The former Penn Quaker Hanchard comes out for Nathan Kohler. Second season with Chattanooga, spent the 2 years prior in the lower divisions of England. And then the other change, this one's actually the interesting one because Anton Sorensen leaves the match. But you have the left back out for a more of a wing midfielder, Colin Thomas. This is only his 2nd match of the season, his first since mid-April. First time he's played here at home also. Also wraps up all of Richard Dixon's subs in the final 15 minutes of the match. Sid Mohan works it back for the aforementioned Nathan Kohler. Barker John again, slants it outside. Sid Mohan charges, centers. Didn't have Mangarov looking, but it will stay with CFC. Blanchard gets a walk-off assist on the substitution. Sarsar with the ball, had the other on the Barker John goal. This game has turned quite a bit. There was a lot of Chicago controlling the early part of the second half. But since about the 65-minute mark, Chattanooga have been really doubling down on their pressure. And they're possessing. Diagonally for Mangarov. Couldn't get around Nagel. Stays with Chattanooga. Quick toss, Barker John. Could he have it again? Back it comes, but it bounces off of Gonzalez, and that allows Nemo to smother any other chances for CFC. If it does go in this direction, Chattanooga are coming off of back-to-back draws against Atlanta and against NYCFC. For Chicago, every game since the start of May has been decided in regulation. 4 regulation wins, 3 regulation losses since Cinco de Mayo against NYCFC. Chicago only 1 point away from the 8th placed Atlanta. Chattanooga 2 points away from the top 3 cluster of Red Bull New York, Orlando City, and New England Revolution. This game's tied at 2. It was 1-0 Chattanooga at half from Alex McGrath. 2 from Villanueva put Chicago ahead 2-1. And Barker John tied things up. He continues motion for Mangarov. Final 10, back in the middle, back heel towards Barker John, but interrupted. Chicago recover. It's the foot race for Chollop. He does keep it in bounds. A 5-game Saturday slate of MLS Next Pro. Match week 17. 8 games tomorrow, including 5 in the East. Ryan Lee and our entire MLS Next Pro crew, we thank you for joining us here at Finley Stadium in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where Chattanooga are looking for their first win of any kind against Chicago. And this will be the 3rd change made by the Fire. That's the remainder of the day for Robert Turdine. And Harrison Bernhardt will be the replacement. Harrison Bernhardt, an academy product for Chicago Fire. MLS Next Pro debut today. The 5'11" midfielder making his debut. Only the 3rd change made by Mike Makovich. Chattanooga back on, Barker John. Robertson way outside. Chattanooga might have a chance to make up ground as the cross got blocked. Mangarov controls. Contact from Nig, and not too much. It will stay with Chicago. For Chicago, this is leg 2 of 3 in a 3-game road trip. They'll be back at SeatGeek Stadium on the 12th to play host to Red Bull New York before another back-to-back road trip in Carolina between Crown Legacy and Carolina Core. They'll end the season between August and September with a very heavy home slate, with 6 of 9 back at SeatGeek Stadium. For Chattanooga FC, they might have a chance to really make up ground on this table. They're only 2 games behind the first place Chicago Fire 2. Columbus Crew 2, Chicago Fire, they're chasing Toronto and Atlanta in the 9-8. Columbus Crew 2, only 2 games ahead. Barker John fights past. Still Barker John. Feed in the middle. Couldn't get a ricochet. The rebound is over. You had all sorts of options in the middle of the box. None of them could get a tip. And Barker John already 2 goal contributions. You had Cohen. You had Sid Mohand. Neither could tip it. And Mangarov just too high. Still looking for that first goal of the year is Daniel Mangarov. Nofo Brewing Co. is the official craft beer of Chattanooga Football Club. It's really been a tough season for Daniel Mangarov. Has started in 12 of 16 matches and has yet to really find that same offensive production that he had in the 2025 campaign, where he had 8 goals and 13 total goal contributions, both of which were second on CFC's roster. Some of that might have been the rules changing, or just maybe a little bit of maybe just a little bit snake bitten as well. But Mangarov also still a young product. Only 24 years old, the ex-Virginia Cavalier. He walks over with Sarsar and Robertson. Back post, Cohen over! What an excellent service from Robertson. And Cohen had a chance. He had no one marking him. He just pushes that over the bar with the outside of the foot. A golden opportunity for a potential game winner for CFC. Keep in mind, Chattanooga are doing all of this without their #1 goal scorer in Alex Krell and one of the reliable starting midfielders in Isaiah Jones. For Chicago, they've pretty much had the same starting 11 for the last 3 or 4 matches, because the first team has been on the same break as the rest of Major League Soccer. MLS won't return to play until July 16th. So maybe a couple more weeks of the eyes squarely on the second team. And maybe some of the first team options could get playing time when they return from their respective international breaks, as we have that final leg of the group stage of the World Cup. How many of those players can go back to their respective clubs? Towards the corner, back in the middle, headed away by Gonzalez. Brody Williams is back. We have heard from some of the various coaches that there is a realistic possibility that once the first team players come back from their respective clubs, you could see maybe some of them that were nursing injuries or had really long layoffs between games, that they could see them training or playing in the second team. Sid Mohand just clipped off of Nemo. Corner for Chattanooga. as they have really heated up in the second half. Sid Mohan had a try in the first couple minutes of getting on the field, just couldn't convert. Still looking for that first goal of the season. Third corner of the second half in the final 2 minutes of the match. Still stoppage time to go. Way back, Sid Mohan headed into the middle. Kohler can't reach it. Thomas in the mix. Comes out for Chattanooga. Sid Mohan. Pump fakes, releases. Sarsar too high. Kohler bodies off his man, Nepo. Slanted out towards Mangarov. Mangrove around Bernhardt. Cohen misses the ricochet again. That's at least 3 golden opportunities for Yuval Cohen. None of them could be converted. He had a header that missed, and that's the second deflection off the foot that missed completely. He's getting in position to do so. He is finding the soft spot of the defense, just hasn't put it into the back of the net yet. What can Chicago cook up as we are dwindling our way towards stoppage time? Thomas fighting off Nepo for a goal kick. And we will have an extra 5 minutes on the board. Do we have a game winner? Or will we go to penalties? And speaking of Major League Soccer's return to play, we still have Leagues Cup to deal with on top of the regular season. Another one of those rules where things got implemented first by Next Pro. Cohen escapes. Barker John stutters through. Barker John sends it across. Still bouncing. Sid Mohan controls. Mohan escapes and right towards Nemo. Sid Mohan has been all over the place since he came on to the pitch at the hour mark. He has really made his presence felt, just hasn't been able to bear it yet. Sid Mohan still looking for his first goal contribution in 2026. Also his first goal contribution since he joined Chattanooga in 2025. Back for Chattanooga. Cohen, edge of the area, outlets towards Chalop. Barker John scored the equalizer for CFC. Bouncing around. Back for Chicago. Bernhardt cuts back. For CFC. Looking deep towards Sid Mohan. Past halfway of stoppage. 2-all we sit. 2 goals from Damian Villanueva. 1 goal from Damian Barker-John and Alex McGrath. The only one still on the field is Barker-John, but Napo might be leading. Napo is too high. How much has Milan Napo's stock risen in the month of June? He was leading the charge. He had a chance to go out towards Bolts, elects to go for it himself. His first goal contribution was only 2 weeks ago against Inter Miami 2, where he was the Week 15 MLS Next Pro Rising Star. Got an assist today on the 2nd goal for Damian Villanueva. Nemo collects it, keeps it moving. Progress prevented for Chicago. Here comes Chattanooga. Cohen sliding through. Robertson hesitates. Gets it back. Sid Mohand on the opposite end. Retreats towards Sarsar. Final 30 seconds of stoppage. To the middle, Cohen twirls, unleashes, too high. But it'll stay in this end for a corner. Another good attempt from Chattanooga, another try from Yuval Cohen. However, this time you had 2 bodies all over. We are through 5. This could be it for regulation. Robertson on the far side. Swung in, headed, it's loose. And that's it. 90 minutes solves nothing. We go to penalties. 2-2 after 90 plus. We will find out who gets the 2nd point in this 2-all game. Penalties when we come back.
Should be a fun season of MLS Next Pro. Oh my! Pedrinho wins it!
We return to Chattanooga, where CFC and Chicago Fire 2 are tied up at 2. Let's take a look at how we got here as Barker-John went across for Mangrove and the one touch by Alex McGrath to get on his first goal contribution since early April. And this was a quick flash screen by Damian Villanueva off the corner from Damian Nig, which tied things up at 1-1 in the 48th, right after the stoppage time goal from McGrath. And this is just a beautiful goal here. Turdine lays it all the way across, and Villanueva just unloads. Perfect placement into the top corner. probably one of the goals of the week, if you say so, for the young 17-year-old Damian Villanueva. And this would be the equalizer going into the second half hydration break. Damian Barker-John fights off one, gets around two and a third before slamming it into the left post to tie this game at 2, which is where we sit through 90 minutes of play. All indications seem like we will set up shop at the left goal here at Finley Stadium. 90 minutes solved nothing in this 2-2 game. Keep in mind, Chattanooga are coming off of back-to-back PK wins. They had a PK win last time out against NYCFC.
Kicking first for CFC, number 3, Tate Robertson.
Tate Robertson will be the one to start things off for CFC. A single season team record of 9 goals, 19 goal contributions. He's up first for Chattanooga. Robertson had 19 goal contributions a year ago. He's already on pace with 10. Robertson's first. He gets it.
And that's a goal for number 3, Tate Robertson for CFC.
No messing around, just straight up and straight through. Right side with speed. And
Kicking first for Chicago,
the
number
response
48, Trip
for
Fleming.
fire
In
2
goal,
will be
number
Trip
1,
Fleming.
Eldon Jakubovic.
Four-year Chicago Fire midfielder, formerly of the Wisconsin Badgers. 21-year-old Fleming on the 41-year-old Jakubovic. Stopped by Jakubovic, still rolling, and it's cleared. Excellent instincts from Eldin Jakubovic. Got the swat out, looked back at the goal line, and it never fully crossed.
Second
What
kicker
can we
for
see
CFC,
from Amzayan
number
Sid
11,
Mohand?
Amzion Sid Mohand.
He's had eyes for goal all day. Hasn't yet gotten a goal contribution this year, but the Algerian steps up to the dot. Sid Mohan scores.
And that's a CFC goal for number 11, Amzion Sid Mohan.
Trying to take advantage of the keeper, Jason Nemo, who has never been in a PK shootout in his young Next Pro career. Both times the wrong way. And you go Badger teammate to Badger teammate. Trip Fleming followed by Dean Bolts.
Dean Bolts.
Already a career high 4 goals. One more than his total last year. Bolts gets it.
Chicago goal by number 28, Dean Bolts. Current PK score.
Keeps Chicago within reach in this PK shootout. Both players going respective rights. Yuval Cohen, he has been swarming in that.
Number 9,
In this game alone, he led Chattanooga with 6 shot attempts, but only had 1 on frame. He's been snake bitten since joining Chattanooga in August of last year. And he do good on his tenure here by getting a 3rd on the 16-year-old keeper, Jason Nemo. and gets it.
CFC goal by number 90, U-Ball Cohen.
Yuval Cohen, patient. The stutter forces Nemo to his right, as does Yuval Cohen.
Damian Nick.
Then you have Damian Nick, who got the assist on the corner to open the scoring for Chicago. Nig, stopped by Jakupovic. And Chattanooga are one goal away from sealing the deal. That's another relatively low corner. That time Jakupovic able to get through. And Daniel Mangarov will be the fourth shooter for Chattanooga. A potential send-off if he scores for what could be the fourth straight Chattanooga win. Mangarov scores, sends it off. 4 straight for CFC.
And that secures the CFC.
And the 3rd straight in PKs. This time, a bit of a change-up. One of the first shots to go left. Daniel Mangarov ends this game. A game-winning send-off goal. And before we wrap things up, we need to go to our man of the match. Presented by Adidas, and it has been a man who's been all over the field and has done just about everything in this game. But probably the most important thing he did was equalize to put Chattanooga in a position to get the bonus points. Damian Barker-John sliding through the defense, also got an assist on the opening goal to Alex McGrath. And that put Chattanooga in place to get their 3rd straight win via PKs, their 4th straight win of any kind. That is an excellent run for Chattanooga FC, as they had a 2-2 draw result in a win in PKs. Don't forget to watch MLS Next Pro all season long at MLSNextPro.com and OneFootball for our entire MLS Next Pro broadcast crew. My name is Ryan Lee. Thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your night.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.